Hello, and a lot of people have asked, so I figured, and this was actually the video I was planning on doing, this and one other video, because a lot of people had asked about MMA. I had done an MMA video in a while, and a lot of people had asked, my feelings on uh, Fedor losing, because I am a big Fedor fan, still am, and Brock winning. Let's start with Fedor because Fedor losing, because that was the bigger thing. But I don't think anyone, Fedor lost, and I think a lot of people were like, oh my god, he lost. But then it wasn't the big, huge reaction that I think a lot of people were expecting, because it wasn't like he was dominated. He basically was caught. He made a mistake. Though, he was basically doing the same thing he'd always done, but he had a guy who basically caught him. He made a mistake. I think Verdun tried the triangle. I think he finally got the third time. I think he tried it once. Fedor got out of it. I think he tried it again. Fedor got out of it. I think on the second one, if I'm remembering the fight right, it was a while ago now, a couple weeks ago. He should have stood back and just let it get back up his feet, because it had gotten to the ground, because Verdun definitely couldn't take his punches. And I think instead he was being a little bit too aggressive, got caught, and he lost. But I think most people would think that, the way the fight went, you could do the fight, another 2 weeks probably. They'd probably still pass. They'd probably still be cleared by an athletic commission, even, and still be able to fight. And Fedor would probably still win. So did it take a little bit of the aura off of Fedor? I definitely think it did, but I definitely don't think it destroyed his reputation or made it where he's still not near one of the top guys in the world. You could probably still argue he's still the top guy in the world, though he lost, so he's definitely not. And then we had the Brock fight and a UFC pay-per-view that was pretty spectacular. I thought. I always bring this up, and I know people that are big UFC fans, big MMA fans, hate when people bring this up, but it's the truth. I don't understand why UFC pay-per-views are so much, and the production values are, I wouldn't even mind if the production values were at least on the same level as, HBO boxing. They're not. I don't give a shit what anyone says. They're not on the same level. The video packages before the fights look like garbage. They look like stuff that was on, ESPN Fights or Tuesday Night Fights on USA back almost 20, 30 years ago. I mean, it's not good stuff. Can we please get updated graphics? Can we please get, updated music? Can we get some, a little bit better video packages for the fighters to try to get the fighters over just a little bit more? I'm not asking for pride stuff. I'm not asking for that. I know that that's not necessarily something that might not, if you go to that extreme, might not sell in the U.S., but at least something closer to it than what we're getting. I mean, what we're getting now is bare minimum crap, and for the amount of money that you spend on a UFC pay-per-view, I don't think that's good. That said, the pay-per-view was excellent, I thought, and that and the fact that the Brock fight didn't go on last, the fact that they still aired another fight. I know people always gripe about that, but honestly, the pay-per-view should have ended with Brock in the crowd, celebrating. And I know a lot of people probably didn't watch that last taped fight, but still, that's when it should have went off. It makes a statement. It does those sort of things, and of course, Brock won. There's a lot of, I guess, controversy, though I'm not sure why. Should the fight have been stopped? I'm going to say no, because Brock did wind up getting up in that same round and back to his feet, and you could definitely tell he was not as hurt as much as it looked like he was. That said, you could have stopped the fight. I don't think anybody would have complained about it either. If you believe what Paul Heyman said, and if you go to my other channel, Paul Heyman talks about the fact of what Rosenthal told both fighters, what he says they told both fighters, that basically he was going to ask them if they got in trouble, because they're both big guys. He knew that guys were going to get mounted, that he would ask 3 times. If no one answered if he didn't answer the third time, he was going to stop the fight. And apparently he didn't ask Brock 3 times. Apparently after the second, Brock started moving his hips and trying to defend himself better. So if you believe that, then no, the fight shouldn't have been stopped. I know people will say, that's a bunch of crap, but whatever. I mean, you definitely, it was a good call, because you could tell Brock was not as hurt as much as he was. Carwin definitely, his gas tank ran out, and Brock, choked him out. There you go. And now you have to ask yourself, now that Fedor has lost, is Brock the number one, heavyweight in the world? I think that it would be hard not to put him as the number one heavyweight in the world. I know a lot of, the Sheardoggers and a lot of the MMA fans that hate pro wrestling and don't want MMA having anything to do with pro wrestling. You're a bunch of fools. You're a bunch of fools, because what's going to happen when MMA isn't hot anymore and when UFC isn't hot anymore? They're going to have to start doing these things that a lot of us that are the pro wrestling fans that like MMA keep saying, you guys need to do some of this stuff. It would help. And, and they don't. But anyways, so I definitely think that that's the other thing that I've seen. I've seen some wacky heavyweight rankings, and not that the heavyweights are a big thing, but people just discrediting Brock for whatever reason. He beat a guy no one really everyone thought would literally be the best chance, and now it's maybe this guy can beat him, maybe this guy should be able to beat him now. The gas tank. There's always going to be excuses of why guys don't beat Brock, and not that Brock beat the guy. It doesn't matter. Brock, that's like saying when Verdum beat Fedor, not saying Verdum beat Fedor. Verdum should get credit for beating Fedor. Did Fedor make a mistake? Yes, but he beat him. He still beat him. So there you go. Do I think anybody? Here's another question. Do I think anyone can beat Brock? I think Fedor even now could still probably beat Brock. I think he has fast enough and hard enough hands that he can beat Brock. I don't. Some people have said Junior Dos Santos. I'm not so sure about that. I think he's just too big for him, but that's just me. I honestly I don't see anyone that's really gonna give him a lot of trouble, because he's not definitely gonna take on anyone that hits harder than Carwin, and there's not gonna be anyone that he's not gonna be. Carwin is the one guy that he really wasn't gonna be able to muscle around in the ring. So there's that too. So anyways, I'm sure I'm running out of time. There's not a timer on this, unfortunately. So hopefully that will contain some of you guys for the MMA talk. So with that, I'm out. Have a good one.